In this video, we'll be looking at question 1.1 from 5HR03. You should have read the scenario and know that this question is asking you to approach the principles of reward and explain their significance for organizational culture and performance management. Before we dive into the approach, I need to remind you that this video provides general guidance on how to tackle this type of question. It doesn't give you the answers. You'll need to do your own research, analysis, and critical thinking to address the scenario fully. With that said, let's walk through how to approach this step by step. First, start by understanding exactly what the question is asking. Look for the command verb. In this case, it's explain. That means you're not just giving a definition or listing facts. You're clarifying what the principles of reward are and making it clear why they matter for both the organization's culture and its performance management. So, you'll want to focus on what reward means in practice, why it's important, and how it influences things like fairness, transparency, and alignment with business objectives. Now, the assessment criteria give you the boundaries for your answer. Stick to discussing reward approaches, fairness, transparency, how reward links to organizational aims, and the impact on culture and performance. Don't get sidetracked by implementation details or unrelated HR topics. Alright, now when it comes to making judgments, don't just list the principles. Think about their effectiveness in the context of the scenario. For instance, maybe a total reward approach could have a positive impact on organizational culture, but only if it's implemented transparently. Weigh up the strengths and weaknesses, and consider if reward elements affect different groups, like skilled versus non-skilled employees, differently. When you make a point, back it up. Use academic theory or evidence from the scenario to justify what you're saying. So, how should you plan your answer? Start with a brief introduction, just a couple of sentences, about why reward principles matter for culture and performance management. Then organize the main body into two clear sections. First, explain the core principles of reward. You'll want to cover things like total reward, intrinsic and extrinsic rewards, fairness, transparency, market alignment, and any relevant legal considerations. Second, analyze why these principles matter for the organization's culture and performance. Keep your points clear and concise, and use examples from the scenario whenever you can. Wrap up with a short conclusion that sums up your overall judgment. Maybe just a sentence or two about why reward is central to both culture and performance. As you write, use the assessment criteria as your checklist. Make sure you're covering total reward, intrinsic and extrinsic aspects, fairness, transparency, cultural trust, market alignment, integration with objectives, and any legislative context. When you talk about why reward is important, focus on how it supports culture, recognizes performance, and drives engagement. Stay on topic and don't drift into areas the criteria don't mention. When it comes to sources, pick 2 or 3 academic references that directly discuss reward principles and their impact on organizational culture or performance. Paraphrase these sources and use Harvard-style referencing, both in your writing and in your reference list, unless the brief says otherwise. Choose studies or theorists that help you back up your main points. Now, make sure you connect theory to the scenario. Use details from the case study, like if there's a lack of incentives or differences in reward schemes, to show how reward principles, or the lack of them, actually affect culture and performance. Be explicit about how the evidence from the scenario links to the theoretical ideas you're discussing. That's what demonstrates you really understand the real-world implications. If you want to aim for high marks, prioritize depth over breadth. Analyze the most relevant principles in detail, especially in the context of the scenario. Use your sources to support well-reasoned arguments. Talk about the complexity of reward and how it shapes both culture and performance. And don't shy away from discussing any limitations or challenges. Go for a nuanced analysis, not just a simple summary. Finally, write as clearly and concisely as you can. Use direct sentences. Make sure each paragraph has a purpose, and avoid repeating yourself. Keep your language precise, and always relate everything back to what the question is actually asking. So, to wrap up, take a methodical approach, stick to the assessment criteria, connect theory and scenario evidence, and always back up your points with academic sources. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more. Check out the rest of this playlist for more tips on tackling 5 HR03 questions.